Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Mentioned in her lesson, the 5 freedoms are freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of petition, freedom of assembly, and freedom of religion.
What is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech is a political right to communicate one's opinions and ideas.
One of our freedoms that is protected under the First Amendment is our freedom of petition. What that is we have the right to set up petitions and get them to get signed, like outside of grocery stores, things like that.
Another freedom we have under the First Amendment is freedom of press. The way we can exercise this freedom is by publishing things we want, and they don't, even though they go against the government, we won't get in trouble for it.
Freedom of assembly is another freedom in the First Amendment. With this freedom, you can be able to conduct meetings, clubs, as long as they're all peaceful.
Freedom of religion is one of our other freedoms that we have that is stated in the First Amendment. What this freedom states is that we have the right to believe in anything we choose to. One of our freedoms protected under the First Amendment is our freedom of speech. The protections that we have under the right of freedom of speech is that you can say what you believe is true and express ideas that may be unpopular. You can also write, make signs or pictures, join a march, or wave a flag. This is known as symbolic speech. You can also make your ideas public on radio, TV, internet, or in public places. Protections, there are also limits within the freedom of speech. They are as follows. Clear and present danger. You have to think, will this act of speech create a dangerous situation? Another one is fighting words. Was something said face to face that would incite immediate violence? Also, libel and slander. Was the statement knowingly false? 4. Obscenity. Would the average person find it offensive? Does it have value? Number 5. Conflict with other legitimate social or governmental interests. Does the speech conflict with other compelling interests? And the last one, time, place, and manner. Was the timing, location, and manner in which it was presented appropriate, or were laws broken? Another freedom that we have in the First Amendment is our freedom of petition. Some of the protections that we have under our freedom of petition are that you can sign petitions. Also, you can go to public places and ask for petitions to be signed. Some of the limits that we have under our freedom of petition are that petitions must follow a set format. You must write your full name and address when signed. You must live in the area where the petition is being presented. You can only sign a petition once, and most of the time, you must be a registered voter in order to sign. Another freedom expressed under the First Amendment is the freedom of press. The protections that we have under our freedom of press are for newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and the internet, for writers, artists, and those who make films. The protections include that you can criticize the government, you can print the truth as you see it, and you can make honest mistakes as well as printing unpopular ideas. Just like with any other freedom, there are limits to our freedom of press, such as you cannot libel on purpose, meaning you cannot print things you know to be untrue. You cannot print things that hurt the defense of the country, and you cannot print or broadcast any obscene material. After hearing about a court case, there was a new court case opened, which was the Morse versus Frederick, in which a student held up a sign saying "Bong hits for Jesus" as the Olympic torch passed through his city. He did so, defending himself, saying that it was his freedom of speech, as it was argued in the previous case. It was argued on March 19 of 2007, and it was decided on June 25th of 2007. Principal Deborah Morse suspended 18-year-old Joseph Frederick after he displayed a banner reading "Bong hits for Jesus." Frederick sued, claiming his constitutional rights to free speech were violated. His suit was dismissed by the federal court, but on appeal, the Ninth Circuit reversed, concluding that Frederick's speech rights were indeed violated.
That was not freedom of speech. You have no right. You can't interfere with that.
Meanwhile, Principal Morse continued her argument.
I have freedom of speech, though.
Yes, you have freedom of speech, but this school has regulations, and since you're attending this school, you must follow them.
I don't even know what the policies are.
Well, the policy is not to promote vandalism, not to promote any type of weed substance as you carry throughout your sign. That is a total violation of the school policy.
At the end of the court case, the Supreme Court decided that the student's argument was invalid because of the reason that the school does indeed have policies that the student needed to follow, and the student did indeed violate them. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's decision was that Principal Deborah Morris should not be penalized. The student's actions were violating school policies, which outrule his freedom of speech. And to summarize today's lesson, we'll end it with some key terms. The first one is symbolic speech. Symbolic speech is the expression by conduct, communicating ideas through facial expressions, body language, or by carrying a sign or wearing an armband. Number 2, assemble. To gather with one another in order to express views on public matters. 3, libel. Libel is false and malicious use of printed words. Then we have number 4, slander, false and malicious use of spoken words. And last but not least, we have the word picketing, patrolling of a business site by workers who are on strike. And those are our key terms for today's lesson.